Hello, everyone. My name is Joseph Skoda, and you're in the office with Joseph Skoda. And I'm part of the Social Media Shows Network and a lot of other networks. So if you're looking for information to share with our audience, look out for me, josephskoda.com, or look at social media shows, and we can hook you up because every one of us has a story to tell, including the young man on my right or left. It's hard to tell on Zoom. It could be anywhere. But Devin Moore is from New York, and I believe Long Island. Is that correct, Devin?
Yeah.
Awesome. And you're taking class at the University of Maryland. I've taken some courses there myself also. But we know you're an author. And it's hard for people my age to write a book, let alone someone a few years younger. I'm not going to talk about age, but a few years younger. So tell us a little bit about your background, where you're from, and a little bit about the journey that took you to write this book.
Yeah, of course. So, hi, everyone, and thank you again for having me, Joseph. My name is
Absolutely.
Devin Moore. I am, well, as we said, I'm from Long Island, New York. I'm currently 19 years old. That's kind of like a basic. Oh, and then also,
19 years young. 19 years young.
okay, 19 years, yeah. And then I am I am attending the University of Maryland, or I'm studying psychology at the University of Maryland. I'm currently a sophomore as of right now. Um, and so beyond that, my anti-bullying work. So I am the founder of an anti-bullying organization called Race to Speak Up. So through Race to Speak Up, we're really focused on educating students about bullying prevention, empowering them to be upstanders, and encouraging a message of kindness, positivity, and love. Beyond that, excuse me, actually, wait, let me backtrack as well. With Race to Speak Up, we give Race to Speak Up Against Bullying workshops where we're going into schools, organizations, companies, whatever the case is, to educate their audiences, their students, their employees about this bullying epidemic and the best ways to lessen bullying overall, identify what it can look like, and create calls to action so that you guys can bring this anti-bullying work back to your communities. So that's what the Race to Speak Up organization does. Beyond this, I'm also the author of a children's anti-bullying book that is called Devin Speaks Up. I have my background up, so I'm just going to show you my shirt, and the shirt.
No, I see it. Devin Speaks Up. I love it.
Oh, okay, there we go. So yeah,
Oh,
that's what
is that
Devin
a
Speaks
heart?
Up.
Is that a heart with children?
Yes, it's the Heart with Children. Let me explain it.
Wow.
So you see how those kids are all in a heart formation. So
Sure.
I think they are part of the upstander crew. An upstander is someone that supports the target of bullying. So they're showing by them holding each other's hands and that heart formation, they are showing support from each other. Not one of those kids look the same, not one of them act the same, not one of them are the same. They're representing different backgrounds. I have that to show that we are all from different walks of life. All of us as people are from different walks of life. And so through our differences, we need to embrace them, and we need to, overall, I think we need to love them, but at the bare minimum, we need to embrace each other's differences. So with Devin Speaks Up, when a kid looks at the front cover, I want them to say, oh, that looks like me, my friend, my cousin, my mom, my dad, like my teacher. I want them to see it and relate to this. And then when they see, oh, what is Devin speaking up about? So then they open up the book and then they read this journey, or they get an understanding of what bullying is, what it can look like, because I'm showing my personal bullying story as well. I'm also showing how to be an upstander.
Wow.
So it's me in the story being an upstander. So that's how I'm showing it.
No,
And then also
love
at
that.
the end, we also have different activities. So with Devin Speaks Up, I know I was telling you about my Race to Speak Up Against Bullying workshops. Now Devin Speaks Up comes into play by me giving Devin Speaks Up book readings as well as book assemblies. I have a book assembly coming up pretty soon as well. So that's what Devin Speaks Up is, Race to Speak Up. That is all of my anti-bullying work.
That's interesting because 19 or 18 or even 30, you're speaking at different places around the country already. That's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, I started my anti-bullying work when I was 14 years old. So it's been 5 years, and I feel like it's been very short, but I've been able to accomplish a lot. Like now I'm going to different states, different parts of the country to speak. Well, as you just said, to speak, have my voice be put on the forefront to educate students, all the list of types of people that I've spoken to. I've spoken to thousands of students about bullying prevention.
Wow, do you and you mentioned workshops for staff too, for not just students but adults?
Yeah, so with my
Yeah.
workshops, when say if a company or an organization or the school itself is like calling me in or reaching out to me, or they hear about me, they're reaching out to me, and then they're just asking me, like, Devin, we see you have your workshop. Can you tailor it to this group or this group? It's already tailored. I make sure I have like every group, like middle school, high school, corporate companies, adults. My most recent event, I was speaking at the National Center for Race Amity. So I was speaking at the
Yeah,
National Center for Race Amity, where I was giving a 3-hour anti-bullying lecture to educators, as in individuals who were older than I was, talking about the best ways that they can bring anti-bullying education back into their school environment. Whether they whether they teach it at middle schools, high schools, even in college. I think there was one that was in college too, specifically. Charter schools, you name it, we had it at that workshop. So I was educating them, and at the end of the workshop,
yeah,
I had them create a lesson plan. I always have calls to action, but I was speaking specifically to educators at that moment. So I
sure,
said
sure.
they need to create a lesson plan. They know the environment that they're in, or they should know the environment that they're in, so they can
We
tailor
should.
it to their environment. So the mission, the different anti-bullying activities, I made sure that they had that. They had different things that they can bring back into their environment. That's what I do with students, whether it be high school students, middle school, even college students. I make sure that I have it so that they can bring this back to their schools. I don't want it to stay just in that environment. I want them to bring it back into their environment.
I love that. I too, I teach bullying in the workplace in
Mm-hmm.
California. I travel to different corporations, and that's one of the topics I touch. And my wife is actually in charge of equal opportunity and diversity and inclusion in the workplace. And those are big things that she's involved in. And I remember a few years ago, she hired a team to come in and teach the staff that they were kind of role playing in the media. And those are fun. You do any of the role playing also?
Yeah, of course. So when I'm speaking about, I'll tell you about the workplace, and then I'll tell you, or like I guess adults, and then I'll tell you about what I do with like younger, like students or like
Sure,
younger students.
sure.
So specifically with adults or like workplace bullying, the way that I do role playing is, say I want them to respond to different bullying scenarios. So I tell them, okay, we're gonna have you guys. I want everyone to think about the best ways that we can help the target or even the one exhibiting bullying behavior in this bullying scenario. So I have them do breakout groups, but specifically everyone has different roles. So you two
Sure,
are going to be the teacher. You two are going to be the student. You two parents, and you two other characters in the situation.
sure.
So, and then it creates dialogue among a bunch of different people, a big amount of people. And then we come back together and I say, all right, teachers, what did you do? Or parents, what did you do? Students, what did you do? Friends, what did you do? And then
Sure.
specifically when it comes to the young people that I'm speaking to, the way that we do our or role playing is specifically through bullying reenactments. So whether it be me having students on this, because this is what I did a couple weeks ago when I was in Chicago, speaking at a college preparatory school about the best ways that we can educate students about, or educating them about bullying, but giving them a race to speak up against bullying presentation. So I had 4 students come up: the
Yep.
bully, the assistant of bullying, the target, and the bystander. So they was reenacting those roles. And with that, I was explaining what they would do with those titles, like what they would do in the actual bullying scenario. I was showing them how uncomfortable it is, and
Sure.
then on top of that, I was having other students, as well as those students themselves, respond. I said, does this look correct to you? No, it doesn't. So what can we do to help the target? What can we do to help the bully as well? Or the other 2 individuals up here? What can we do to correct this? So that's a lot of what the Race to Speak Up Against Bullying workshops, presentations, that is what it encompasses.
I've got a question about that because you said you had a bystander part of your group, and a lot of the bystanders. I'm an innocent bystander. I can't do anything. I'm just watching. I wasn't part of the problem. Are there any such thing as an innocent bystander, or what's some of the feedback you get on that?
I'm sorry. What do you mean by an innocent
A
bystander?
bystander, somebody standing by, see everything happening but doesn't do anything.
Oh, you just yeah, bystander.
Yeah,
So specifically when it comes to bystanders, what I like to tell people, because this needs to be made clear, as long as you're safe in the situation, well, this actually relates more specifically to an upstander. I would say then you need to intervene to help others, but also be an upstander for yourself because you shouldn't be going through that. Specifically with bystanders,
yeah.
oftentimes you may see them recording the bullying scenario or situation or problem, and they don't do anything to help. But you can anonymously send to the school staff or a principal or a parent what's going on, that video. You're not supposed to post it on social media, specifically where your goal of posting it on social media is to get likes and comments and views, which then that could translate into cyberbullying. That could turn into cyberbullying because everyone else is adding on to this negative mentality and all those rude comments and all those rude reposts, whatever they say, that could turn into cyberbullying. So when it comes to bystanders, that could be what it looks like. And now I know it is very uncomfortable to kind of intervene, but I'm thinking to myself, why don't we think, especially I say this to specifically the bullies, put
Yeah.
yourself in the target's shoes. Do you want, would you want to go through that? Would you want your brother to go through that? Would you want your sister? Would you, or adults, or whatever the case is, would you want your child to go through that? Your students to go through that? Would you, as an adult, want to go through that? No. So
Right.
I try to have people think about the other person's perspective. But if everyone is watching and no one's reporting these things, usually, and this is something I learned in psychology,
Yeah.
basically, there's times where people will see, everyone clearly is seeing something happening, but they'll think that another person's reporting, so no one actually reports what's going on
Very
because they think
common.
someone else is reporting. It's an actual phenomenon. I forgot the name, but it actually happens. So there's so many different components, but it's hard to go through what bullying is. So we need to do something effective about it.
I'm glad you brought up cyberbullying. Sometimes we forget about that, and we hear about students and even adults taking their own lives sometimes because they're harassed so much. You get any feedback or hear about more about cyberbullying? I don't, just a no, don't do it. But some people don't even realize that they're
That's
actively participating and letting them know, oh, get over it. What's your problem? And it affects a lot of people.
Yeah, so and specifically during the pandemic, I was requested to give a lot more cyberbullying workshops and
Sure,
presentations. So I
sure.
have, I'm sure the statistics have changed a little bit, but
Yeah.
I have actual statistics in my mind right now. Like for example, cyberbullying since the start of the pandemic specifically increased over 70%. And actually another anti-bullying activist that I worked with, she did a little more research and then it increased, even though we're not like technically not in the isolation part of the pandemic anymore, to
Technically.
76%. And so I'm thinking to myself, why are we moving 10 steps backwards when we're supposed to move 10 steps forward? Cyberbullying is defined as the repeated instances of bullying. Well, bullying is repeated, it's caused mental and physical harm, it's
Sure,
a power imbalance. It's meant to inflict that unwanted and aggressive behavior onto another person. It's that, but through digital devices like the phone, computer, tablet. So that's what cyberbullying is. And
sure.
so when someone asks me about, how can we lessen this? How can we prevent this? The best ways to lessen bullying overall, I think,
Yeah.
is to have an open conversation, but you need to be open. You need to be open to having the open conversation. You need to, your ears, it can't just go in one ear and out the other. You need to understand how much of an issue this actually is. Because when we see students going through extreme amounts of anxiety, going through
Hmm.
depression, going through low self esteem,
Yeah.
or even worse of the worst. unaliving themselves because of bullying, committing suicide because of bullying. We need to do something effective about it. We need to do something that will lessen, or I want to say stop completely. But at this point, it's like I'm still working. There's other anti bullying activists that are working to lessen it. So I'm just going to, for the purpose of this, I'm going to say lessen. Lessen the amount of bullying that happens in our schools, the internet, anywhere else that bullying can happen, workplaces, anywhere else. We need to work to lessen it because we don't want another young person dying. We don't want another person in general dying because of this bullying epidemic.
Have you been able to do any statistics or evaluations of children that bully become adults that bully? Do they usually continue on that lifespan of bullying as an adult?
Specifically with the kids that are exhibiting bullying behavior, if they're not taught the correct ways, they very much will continue, or it's more likely, it's more likely to happen where they will continue that bullying behavior. I mean, I've had so many examples, so many stories told of, oh, this person bullied me in middle school, and I actually found out that they work in the same environment as me, and they're still continuing to be rude to other people that look like me, or, you're bullying for a specific reason, whether it be your race, your size, sexuality, you name it, you can be bullied for it. Even as simple as wearing glasses. I actually wear glasses. I'm not wearing it right now, but I actually wear glasses.
I'm not either.
Yeah, so it's like with bullies or the one exhibiting the bullying behavior, that could lead into adulthood. Just like the harmful effects of bullying, for example, that anxiety for the target going through that anxiety, that can lead into adulthood. I'm learning about this in psychology specifically. The things that you're continuously going through for a long time, that can very well turn into a disorder, an illness that affects you in your adulthood. To the point where now, you have to take medicine for it? You have to go through therapy for it?
Yep.
You can get medicinally for it? These things can lead into adulthood. That's why we need to start this conversation at a young age.
So even those that are targets, sometimes they become bullies as adults, kind of overcompensate for what they went. Right. Hurt people, right. And that's a sad reality that we live in. So what's the best way to open up that communication so people are open and receptive to hearing what others have to say?
It's interesting that you asked me that because I was just asked that. And after this conference and a couple weeks ago, after speaking at the college preparatory school, and there was a couple things I was speaking at in between. But recently I realized that one of the best places to start a conversation, especially for those who don't want to hear the word bullying, because the word bullying is very stigmatized, or don't want to believe that it's happening in their environment. I think we could use kind of symbolism to start this conversation. So, for example, I know specifically when it comes to unity. Oh my God, this is funny. I was just talking about this on the panel with the other two activists I was on. But so basically, what I was saying was, this person, his name is Steve Sarowitz. He follows the Baha'i faith, which deals with unity. So he was telling me a couple of years ago when I visited him at the Baha'i temple, he was saying how all these flowers in this flower garden, all this in this garden, represents how we are the flowers of the world's garden. Not one of those flowers look the same. Not one of us look the same. Or at least we have our differences, is what I'm saying. So you can kind of use that symbolism to start a conversation. At that point, you would not necessarily need to say the word bullying if you're symbolizing stuff. And then you can calmly introduce what bullying is. And then because that is you're using the symbolism. That's pretty eye-catching. So then it turns into that. But make sure that you have a very open and safe environment to do that in. Not just an open and safe space, but a brave space. We need to have people that are not afraid to speak up about the things that they've gone through, speak up about just what bullying is overall. And overall, make sure that we have a correct understanding of what it is. It can't just be a matter of posting a picture on the school hallway wall of don't bully. Or it can't just be a simple commercial that's 3 seconds that says, stop bullying, that's bad, and then that's it. We need effective solutions, and we need it now. We need it years ago, but we need effective solutions, and we need it now.
Sure, we needed it back when I was going to school. Absolutely, absolutely. I like that. But we hear that we talk with no action, for instance. Yeah, stop bullying. It's bad, and sometimes that's the end of it. Well, I disagree with it. I agree bullying's bad. Okay, well, what are you doing about it? I told everyone it's bad. That's never enough. That's never enough. So, what are some of the challenges that you see? Well, anyways, you're doing good things. You write a book, you're speaking, and the whole idea is to get people interested in the problem. It's an issue. Do you get challenges when you speak at these events? Do people kind of say this don't make any sense, or I don't believe you? Any obstacles?
Sometimes students say things under their breath that they don't think I hear. I hear
Mm,
it. Basically, there's been times where people say, "Oh, bullying is not wrong," or there have been times where I had the ability or like the time to stop and say, "What makes you think that? Why are you
yeah,
saying that?" That's exactly what I did. I remember this specific instance over the summer. This organization, the Episcopal Youth Event,
yeah.
they were allowing me to basically. I was traveling to Maryland, of course, where I go to
Okay,
college. But basically, I was giving a race to speak up against bullying presentation. There was this one, yeah, student. He was in high school, so there was this one high schooler. He was saying, "Oh, it's not really that big of an issue." So then I asked him, "Why do you think that? What makes you say that?"
yeah,
I found out that he actually was someone who, not to put him on the spot right now, that's why I'm not going to say his name, but he was someone who had bullied in his past. He was the bully. And that's why
sure,
he was thinking that way. But then it was also a hurt people type of situation because he was bullied himself. So it's
sure,
like those things like, oh, okay, you have a different experience than me. I'm the one that's supposed to be educating you. So educate me from your perspective so I know when I'm speaking to future, whoever I'm speaking to in the future. That helped
that's
me.
fair.
So now I know I gain even more insight on what it does mean to be the one that's exhibiting the bullying behavior. So
Sure,
it's like I have to make sure that I facilitate and handle the everything correctly. But I think a very easy way for me to handle it is just saying, "Well, why do you think that?" Because it's gonna question you. There's literally videos. I don't say TikTok. There's videos on social media where people are talking about the best ways to handle situations when someone is purposely trying to, annoy or be that one
sure.
kid. And it's just like all you do is just question them and you
That's
putting
a
them on the spot. As long as it's safe to, you put them on the spot. And then it's like, oh, well, now I learned from you. So it's like, it kind of is a better thing at that moment. But yeah.
No, you're right. That's how you open the dialogue by asking a question. But it could be ugly if you're not in a safe environment. I know
Yeah.
for a
That's
fact.
why I
That's for
make
sure.
sure it's really feeling comfortable, or at least to a certain extent,
Yeah.
before I kind of get into certain things. Like, there's been times where it's like, okay, I didn't have the enough time to ask the person about this, or say something about that,
It
or maybe
happened.
even correct them. Because if you're saying, oh, bullying and teasing are the same things, and it's like, well, no, that's not the case. Teasing can be, a one-time thing, whereas, and it's like without the intention to harm.
Yeah.
Bullying is repetitive. It's intended to harm. You're being targeted for a specific reason or reasons. It's
Yeah.
not meant to make you feel good. Yeah, there's so many different
No,
components of it.
there is. I mean, we tease each other about different football teams we like, or like I'm in the military, different services. We all do that. But there's a
Mhm.
big difference in causing harm, even if it's emotional harm. That's
Yeah,
a
because
big
teasing's
deal.
supposed
So
to make you genuinely laugh. Like my friends, oh, they'll tease my friends who I know are my friends. They'll
yeah,
tease about one thing. Oh, okay, that's funny that like, oh, this. I'll laugh at that. But if I deem it as something else, no, we're not having this today. Goodbye. We're not. Let me get off that FaceTime call. Let me leave that
sure,
environment. And it shouldn't be me leaving the environment. It should not be these kids being taken out of the schools because, okay, the school staff isn't doing anything about the bullying
right.
situation. So the parents are like, okay, the only thing we can do is take them out of the school. It should not be that. It should not
Should
get to
not be
that.
that.
It's
But
not the
that that's a good point because if I'm teasing you and you might consider bullying, but I don't see that unless you bring it to my attention. Because sometimes well, if it make us sad or depressed, or how dare you say that? You hurt my feelings, and if we don't let the other person know, it kind of it just bottles up inside of us until we can explode. And bullying is normally pretty easy to understand what that is. But if you've been bullied before, or that's how your whole family is, you don't realize the difference. Someone needs to bring that to your attention. Say, man, that's not cool. Don't talk to me that way.
Actually,
How dare you?
I would not say
Yep.
that bullying is very easy to understand. And the
Okay.
reason why is because there's so many different interpretations and everyone thinks they know what bullying is. So
Sure.
you need to have someone that actually knows all the facts, the statistics, the best ways to handle the situation, how to prevent it. Those are the ones that know all that. Those are the type of people that actually have the correct definition of it. So that when they're going back into an environment where kids think that bullying and teasing are the same thing, or kids will say, "Oh, you're bullying me," and they're not actually bullying you, or kids will just not speak up when they are being bullied. It's so interesting. You'll have a kid talk about, "Oh, you're bullying me," when they're teasing you, but then it's like when they're going through actual bullying, they'll be very afraid to like speak up. That's because they
Sure.
know that this is the real thing that they're going through, and they're
Sure.
very scared to even like attempt to speak up because, oh, someone may blame the target because oftentimes that's what happened, or oh, uh, we can't afford to have the or the school doesn't want to ruin their reputation. There's so many different components. So because there's so many different components to it, that's why I would not necessarily say that it's easy to like a lot of people, or at least a lot of people know what it means. I just think our understandings are very different from each other. Just like our
Of course
perspectives
you
on life, our experiences are very different from each other. People's understandings of words, and I'm learning this more and more in college too, are very different from each other's meaning or understandings of words.
Sure, you open up your horizon, go to college, and speaking at different events. So, if somebody wants to hire you or reach out to you, or maybe have you do a workshop for them, how would they find you?
Yeah, of course. So the best way to reach out to me, contact me, get in touch with me is through my website. It's racetospeakup.com. RACETOSPEAKUP.com. Yes, I tag myself like that. And that way, you'll also be able on my website. You will see my workshops, my anti-bullying services that I offer. That also includes my Devin Speaks Up book readings, as well as my youth entrepreneurship presentations. And then it's all on my website. You scroll to the bottom, you'll be able to quickly and easily email me. And on top of that, you can also get your copy of Devin Speaks Up on my website. It's on the shop page. So all my information is very easily able
Easy
to
found.
be seen. And also my social media, everything is at Race to Speak Up. And then when you see at Race to Speak Up, it links to my author persona page. So everything about Devin Speaks Up, it's at author Devin Moore. But it's all linked. So you'll be able to quickly DM me, message me, email me. It's all there.
It's perfect because I was looking at your page a while ago, and you have everything there. They want to find you. They want to learn about your workshops or even purchase your book. It's all in one place. So that's wonderful. I love that tagline, "Race to Speak Up." That's everything's right there, real easy to find, and you're easy to find, and you're not hiding, and you're letting people know, don't bully me. It's an interesting
Yeah.
world we live in. All right. Well, any last comments you want to give to our world besides the 3 second "Don't bully, it's bad"? Any last minute comments or advice you want to give to the rest of us?
I think the last thing I want to say is that when you have a better understanding of unity and embracing each other's differences means that we have to acknowledge the fact that we are all different individuals. Start there, and then you'll be able to slowly process how important it is to be unified through our differences. Because once we are unified through our differences, we'll have a lot less instances of hate. We'll have a lot less instances of having to stand up for ourselves. Like, we really should not have to stand up for ourselves because we already have all these other stresses in our life. So, being able to start there, start with that open conversation,
Yeah.
and being able to acknowledge all these differences and all these things that we go through in life will really take you far. And it'll take other people in your community far as well.
I appreciate that. I mentioned earlier I'm a Toastmaster. I'm a president of a club in Singapore, for instance. it's all virtual. So my secretary's from Singapore, my membership is from Malaysia, my treasurer's from Africa, my finance person's from Connecticut. It's just all over the world, and we have about 15 countries represented in my club alone, and it's interesting the different cultural differences. We have a lot more similarities than people realize. And it's pretty amazing how we do that. All right. Well,
Mhm.
we appreciate what you're doing, Devin. You're doing some great things, and I'm looking forward to your next book. See you
Oh,
around here.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, everyone, you've been in the office with Joseph Skoda and Devin Moore today. And definitely look them up and find out more about bullying and what we can do to combat it and make sure it's not an issue in our lives or those or loved ones of us, because it's a sensitive issue, but a very important one that we talk about, are open and honest, so we can rectify it to the best of our abilities. Well, that being said, please subscribe to our channel on YouTube or Facebook and look us up, socialmediashows.com or net. Who knows? You know how to find us. In the office with Joseph Scott. Have a great day, everyone. Ooh, thanks God, Devin. If you liked our show, please subscribe to our YouTube channel or find us on any social media platform, Instagram, of course, Facebook. Like, subscribe, share. We appreciate it. Let us know your thoughts and join our team. Anyways, we appreciate you staying tuned week after week, day after day, because we continuously build up our network to bring to you what you're asking for. Have a great day.